Canto 9, Chapter 12, the dynasty of Kusa, the son of Lord Ramachandra. Text 1. Sukadev Goswami said, the son of Ramachandra was Kusa, the son of Kusa was Atiti, and the son of Atiti was Nisabda, and the son of Nisabda was Nabha. The son of Nabha was Pundarika, and from Pundarika came a son named Shemadanva. Text 2. The son of Shemadanva was Devanika. Devanika's son was Aniha. Aniha's son was Pariyatra, and Pariratya's son was Balastala. The son of Balastala was Vajranabha, and who was said to have been born from the effluence of the sun god. Text 3 and 4. The son of Vajranabha was Sagana, and his son was Vidriti. The son of Vidriti was Hiranyanabha, who became a disciple of Jaimini and became a great acharya of mystic yoga. It was from Hiranyanabha that the great saint Yajnavalkya learned a highly elevated system of mystic yoga known as Adhyatma Yoga, which can loosen the knots of material attachment in the heart. Text 5. The son of Hiranyanabha was Pushpa, and the son of Pushpa was Dhruva Sandi. The son of Dhruva Sandi was Sadarsana, whose son was Agnivarna. The son of Agnivarna was named Sigra, and his son was Maru. Text 6. Having achieved perfection in the power of mystic yoga, Maru still lives in a place named as Kalapagrama. At the end of Kali Yuga, he will revive the lost Surya dynasty by begetting a son. Text 7. From Maru was born a son named Prasusruta, and from Prasusruta came Sandi. From Sandi came Amarsana, and from Amarsana a son named Mahasvan. From Mahasvan, Vishvabahu took his birth. Text 8. From Vishvabahu came a son named Prasenajit, and from Prasenajit came Taksaka, and from Taksaka came Bala, who was killed in a fight by your father. Text 9. All these kings in the dynasty of Ikshvaku have passed away. Now please listen as I describe the kings who will be born in the future. From Bala will come Brahadrana. Text 10. The son of Brahadrana will be Urukriya, who will have a son named Vatsavrita. Vatsavrita will have a son named Prativyoma, and Prativyoma will have a son named Banu, from whom Divaka, a great commander of soldiers, will take birth. Text 11. Thereafter, from Divaka will come a son named Sahadeva, and from Sahadeva, a great hero named Brahadasva. From Brahadasva will come Bahuman, and from Bahuman will come Pratikashva. The son of Pratikashva will be Supratika. Text 12. Thereafter, from Supratika will come Marudeva. From Marudeva, Sunat Satra. From Sunat Satra, Pushkara. And from Pushkara, Antariksha. The son of Antariksha will be Suptapa, and his son will be Amritrajit. Text 13. From Amitrajit will come a son named Brahadraja. From Brahadraja will come Barhi, and from Barhi will come Kritanjaya. The son of Kritanjaya will be known as Rananjaya, and from him will come a son named Sanjaya. Text 14. From Sanjaya will come Sakya. From Sakya will come Subdoda, and from Subdoda will come Langala. From Langala will come Prasenajit, and from Prasenajit, Shudraka. Text 15. From From Sudraka will come Ranaka. From Ranaka will come Surata. And from Surata will come Sumitra, ending the dynasty. This is the description of the dynasty of Brahadala. Text 16. The last king in the dynasty of Ikshvaku will be Sumitra. After Sumitra, there will be no more sons in the dynasty of the sun god, and thus the dynasty will end. Thus ends the Vedanta purport of Canto 9, Chapter 12, the dynasty of Kusa, the son of Lord Ramachandra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vidya. Thank you so much for reading the translations today. So I'll offer a brief prayers and we'll continue from there. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshtarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My obeisance to all the devotees. Vanchakalpatarabhyasya, Papasantu Bevacha, Padjanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So it's a nice section. Of course, we're in entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is wonderful everywhere. We're in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And specifically today we're covering the 12th chapter. 9th canto 12th chapter is very brief, a very short chapter, one of the shortest chapters. It is only 16 verses like we heard just now from Vidya Mataji reading. So other uniqueness about this chapter is most of the chapter is about the names of the different descendants of Sun dynasty, is where our Ramachandra appeared also. So that Sun dynasty kings' names we heard primarily. There are lots of things to discuss on this chapter, so I'll go with whatever we can before 7:30. So essentially, because there is only one purport in this chapter, not much purports in this chapter, so I look for resources what we can discuss from the senior devotees. So I heard a class from Burjan Prabhu, who does Bhaktivedanta, Bhakti Vaibhav classes in Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education long before anybody started in ISKCON. So I was hearing a class from him on 2009 that he gave. And then also I was reading the study guide Burjan Prabhu provided. That name of that study guide is Towards His Smiling Face. And that was also another thing I was reading. And then I heard a class from His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, which he gave in one of the courses I attended a long time ago called Bhagavad Sravana course in Govardhanika village. So to understand his perspective on this chapter also. And then I contemplated a little bit about what I can understand from this chapter and what I heard in the past from my Guru Maharaj and others. So there is a background. So essentially, we'll go one at a time. So what we see here in this, what was the previous chapter, 11th chapter? 10th and 11th chapter was focused on Lord Rama's pastime. Ramayana was very described in a brief way, like devotees described nicely. So, if you notice one thing, Ramayana, the way it's described in Srimad Bhagavatam, has one particular focus you can see. For example, in the previous chapters, there was few verses that covering large portion of Ramayana very quickly. And then there are 3 verses that are dedicated when I think is Samudradev, yeah, the ocean god, when he the sea god is called, sea god, when he pacifies Lord Rama with prayers, that time they gave exclusive verses for them, for that section. Because that is helps us to hear the glories of the Supreme Lord like that. And then there is a section in the 10th chapter again where uh, Ravana's queens are lamenting. All that section is given with focus on basically two primary things. One thing we notice is First is glorifying Lord Ramachandra. That was one focus of that section, last two chapters. And the second focus of this section was how attachment to anyone can cause suffering in this life like that. So that we even with Ramayana also that focus was maintained. For example, when Rama sent Sita away, so in the purport Srila Prabhupada writes clearly, this shows how much an attached person suffers. Of course, Lord Ramachandra is Supreme Lord himself. So he's not materially attached, he's not going through any material emotions. That is clearly understood. But as a lesson for us, this is a lesson in detachment for us. Why is he giving that lesson in Srimad Bhagavatam? Why is that focus of Srimad Bhagavatam about detachment, material detachment, and attraction, exclusive attraction to Supreme Lord? So, when we understand the overall context of Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll get that under the answer. Overall context of Srimad Bhagavatam is what? This Sukadeva Goswami, Parishit Maharaj is about to die in 7 days. He only has 7 days to live. Now, Sukadeva Goswami came to deliver Parishit Maharaj by speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to him. So now, Sukadeva Goswami focus is to make sure Parikshit is exclusively focused on Supreme Lord. So no deviations here and there. Number one. For that, he needs two things. One is he needs to hear about the glories of the Supreme Lord, sweetness of the Supreme Lord, like that. That way, he can be focused on towards Supreme Lord like that. Number one. Number two, at the same time, you should not be thinking about the material attachments or material pleasures that he left already. Because remember, Parishit Maharaj left his kingdom and his wife and everybody and came to the banks of the river to hear from Sukadeva Goswami and is fasting till death. Now he wants to make sure that material detachment is maintained while attachment to Supreme Lord is is cultivated in him or nourished in him like that. That is the context in which Parishit Maharaj is hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. That's why even Sukadeva Goswami narrates Ramayana in a way to cultivate attraction to Supreme Lord Ramachandra and to cultivate detachment for material things, any kind of attachments, including wife like that. So that is the one focus we can observe from the last two chapters. Now, in this chapter, like you probably already heard from other devotees, ninth canto prominently describes Sun dynasty descendants and Moon dynasty descendants. So while doing so, so while doing what is also happening is we are hearing from this chapter, we are hearing the end of the Sun dynasty, how it happens like this. So what we heard was there is a final king who comes by name Sumitra. This chapter itself is titled as Descendants of Kusha. Who is Kusha? Kusha is one of the two sons of Lord Ramachandra, Lava and Kusha, we know. So now is describing how the Sun dynasty went end after Sumitra. So when we hear so many names in couple of verses, few verses like this, one thing we notice is they actually each king was born. He did so many activities like to get the kingdom, to become a king, and he must have done so many great things as a king. He must have expanded his kingdom. So many things are there, and then finally he's gone, and then next king comes like that. So we don't hear every king description, but we hear about some kings details only. So why is that? So two aspects to note. One is like Srimad Bhagavatam is a Mahapurana, and Puranas have certain structure to maintain. For example, Purana word itself means old histories. So history needs to maintain the structure of structure of what happened, who came when like that. Now, so Srimad Bhagavatam is honoring that need for structure to maintain the history of descendants like that. Number one. However, Srimad Bhagavatam is not interested to tell us about everybody and everything. when did this person went to movie, when did this person went and played football and enjoyed, when did this person, that is not the focus of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam focus is again to describe us the prominent aspects of kings, for example, who ascended to transcendence. That means who achieved perfection like that. So that means we get a positive inspiration seeing this king. Oh, that is how we need to cultivate devotion service. That's how we can achieve perfection also. So whenever such thing happens in any prominent king, Sukadeva Goswami pauses and zooms into that particular king's life and giving the detail of that particular king life. Focused on devotional aspects, number one. Number two, also if you notice from the last two chapters, whenever Supreme Lord or his representatives descend into this life, into this world, material world, like Ramachandra descended, then also he pauses and zooms in to so that we can get attraction for Supreme Lord, so that we can get dragged to the back to Godhead by this attraction of Supreme Lord and his pure devotee representatives or eternal associates of Supreme Lord like that. So that is the other thing to notice. That is why only the names are given here. And then whenever some prominent other Supreme Lord descends or a devotee is ascending to spiritual world, then we get more details on the Srimad Bhagavatam also. That's one more aspect. So when we are hearing these pastimes, we can note that in the 12th chapter, so many kings, hundreds of kings came. This must have happened in thousands of years of life, years of time frame. But so what we can learn from here is in the material realm, all dynasties, kings, kingdoms, and rulers, everybody, even the greatest kings, even the most powerful king, everybody must end. That is one crucial lesson we are learning from here. So why is that lesson is important? Again, to cultivate detachment to the material possessions or material things or material positions or material identities like that. So we can see so many great kings came and gone. I think I'm the greatest. I think my doing this particular thing today is the best thing in the world. I'm contributing to the world like that. But all those things can be insubstantial also. So that is one thing we're learning. That even the greatest and powerful kings and even the greatest dynasty like Sun dynasty, where Lord Ramchandra came, had to end. Okay? That is one thing we can learn. Of course, we also hear in the one of the purports by Sri Prabhupada in this chapter that how one of the kings will stay alive till the end of Kali Yuga and start the Sun dynasty again. Yeah? But any point is still clear. Great kingdoms, great rulers, great dynasties, everything must come to end. Yeah, that's one thing. Another thing we are also seeing is uh, by describing Sukadeva Goswami describing all these kings who passed away already is reminding King Parishit that the effects of time are very deadly, and not only deadly, they're irreversible. That means we cannot reverse the effect of time. The time 1 second went away cannot come back. So similarly, whatever these kings did, now they are dead. Nothing can come back. So that is another important aspect Sukadeva Goswami is transmitting to Parishit Maharaj and for all of our benefit also. Similarly, um, however, at the same time, like we discussed, is zooming in where required. Like in the last two chapters, is zoomed in into the remembrance of the Supreme Lord, how he appeared and what are his pastimes of Ramchandra like that. That's another thing we can notice. So, and another aspect of time is time passes very quickly. So that we can see by how these descendants who are very powerful in Sun dynasty left like that. So now in these descendants, while he is describing the descendants of Kusha, we heard one name Jaimini Rishi. Jaimini Rishi was actually the originator of Karma Mimamsa philosophy. So that is one of the Vedic philosophies. Of course, we know that is not a philosophy that we follow. It's a atheistic philosophy. In Govardhan Lila, Like most of you must be meditating, must have meditated on Govardhan Lila before Govardhan Puja that happened few days ago, where Krishna is trying to convince Nanda Maharaj, my dear Nanda Maharaj, my dear father, my dear daddy. So uh, why are we doing this worship to Indra? We don't need to do that. Karma is the supreme. Do good things and everything good will happen. Like the atheistic philosophy Krishna was teaching like that. But no matter what, that's another Vedic branch also, Jaimini Rishi. So now, another thing to note is while the life is passing for us, some things we might like, some things we don't like. Whether we like or not, time will force the change on us. So time is so powerful under the Lord of under the controllership of Supreme Lord like that. Now, when we hear how all these so many kings did great things, but they passed away, now they're just a name, one name in Srimad Bhagavatam, nothing more than that. So it also must give us some material detachment. That means understanding that everything in this material world is temporary. So we don't need to be get attached to, oh, I like this situation, I don't like this situation like that. So instead, this should by hearing these Srimad Bhagavatam sections like this, it should induce detachment for us. This whole chapter is names only, nothing much. That should induce material detachment for us. So that kings might have done so many things. Even they do great things, still it's not substantial. It's not. It's very fragile. It's very fluid like that. So now that is another aspect of here relevance of this chapter for practicing devotees like that. Now, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu also gives one wonderful overall theme for the entire ninth canto. Even my Guru Maharaj, as well as Rompasa Maharaj also was talking about this aspect of the ninth canto. So, two aspects are being highlighted. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu highlights one aspect, which is that before we go to the 10th canto, which is the ultimate substance principle that we have, which is Supreme Lord Krishna Himself, Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna Himself. Before we hear His pastimes in the 10th canto, ninth canto is trying to show how everything in the material world is so insubstantial, is so fluid, so fragile, so temporary, like that. That is what ninth canto is showing. For example, and the position. Somebody may have a great renounced position like Saubhari Muni or Durvas Muni like that. Or somebody might have a great kingly order. They might be great king or emperor like that. So they might have different positions or power. But ultimately that can be lost by the king or rishi making some mistake or somebody cursing the king or sage that we've seen in the last several chapters or by some situation or something. By some situation, the position or power can be lost. Not only position and power, we seen right in the first chapter of this ninth canto how uh, even gender identity, somebody may think I am a male, I am a female. Even the gender identity is not permanent. It can be lost. That we seen with the story of Suddhimna in the first chapter itself of ninth canto. Not only that, from the Sobari Mini's pastime, we also heard how male-female relationships are insubstantial because Sobari Muni got distracted from his austerities and went to a king and asked his 50 daughters to be married to him. Asked his one prince to be married to him ultimately, actually. But because he became so handsome by his austerities and the power of austerities, all the 50 daughters want to marry him. So it's describing that chapter we heard so much he got enamored by being with the 50 princesses. And he had children also with the 50 princesses. Finally, that didn't satisfy him. He went back and he aimed for spiritual perfection and cultivated spiritual life again, we see. So, like that, ninth canto is showing us how all these temporary situations we have in this world, whether it's power, position, even gender identity or male-female relationships, all these are insubstantial. That's what ninth canto is showing us. Then what is substantial? What is substantial is Supreme Lord Krishna. going on the path of dharma. Of course, ultimate dharma ultimately culminates in bhakti. So bhakti is very substantial. Focus on Supreme Lord is substantial. Fixing our mind on the Supreme Lord is substantial. So we need to avoid any distractions related to any opulence, related to any problems we have or sufferings we have, and focus on bhakti towards the Supreme Lord Krishna, like that. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam, through these episodes that it is describing, is actually giving us principles on how to elevate our consciousness. Because ultimately, our goal is to achieve elevated consciousness, which is our life purpose. What is the ultimate elevated consciousness? Ultimate elevated consciousness is being situated in our constitutional position. I am a, I am a servant of Supreme Lord Krishna. I need to be engaged in his loving service. That is a constitutional position. So our consciousness can get elevated with these in these two directions. One is attraction to Supreme Lord. So we're looking to aspiring to go to Supreme Lord service, number one. Second is detachment from material world. So that's what ninth canto is giving us before we go to the 10th canto. Other day, I think Pradeep Prabhu was asking, when are we going to the 10th canto? So 10th canto, where according to the current schedule, the last day of the November, November 30th, I think, 30th or 31st, that day we'll be starting the 10th canto. So another 1 month, ninth canto will complete. But we need to, even though 10th canto is wonderful, very sweet and relishable, but it's important to get the message from the previous cantos to understand the greatness of Krishna and also to understand the temporary nature of the material world, temporary nature of material identities, temporary nature of material positions, and the importance of focusing on Supreme Lord, like that. So that is why this chapter and other chapters are preparing us to hear the direct past tense of the Supreme Lord from the 10th canto. Yeah. So those are few thoughts on this chapter. I'll pause here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kupasindubhyocha, Paditanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.